People deluded. Now, Emery and Koscielny, I think obviously resolutions can be found in regards to, if you don't know already, I'm not going to get into it. You know, Koscielny has refused to go on tour, wants to leave for whatever club, whether it's Bordeaux, Rennes, Lyon, just about any French club that's been linked and it looks feasible he's been linked with. We'll never know. We all know he wants to move on and things like that, and there's talk of being banished to the 23s and things. We're not going to go into it, but in short, I believe I believe he can get through this. We've seen players go through worse bust ups with their club and management and find resolutions to it. And that has happened, and that can still happen, and things like that. And that might be in Arsenal and Koscielny's best interest, at least for the immediate future. But for me, regardless of possible injuries at centre half, depth at centre half, Koscielny's experience, all of these things, for me, Emre has to get rid of Koscielny. He has to get rid of Koscielny. Why I think he has to get rid of Koscielny is because first and foremost, the most obvious people. He's disrespected. Away from disrespecting the club, he's disrespected Emre. He's disrespect. That's telling me, if I'm Emre, regardless of him wanting to leave and stuff, he's not one for someone that the club has stood by you and whatnot when you've been injured, and the club that talks about class. The captain has not behaved with any class. So that's the first strike. The second strike is, if this is your captain, 34 years of age, been here 9 years, Koscielny won titles here, won cups, FA Cups here. If he's behaving like that, what does that tell? Again, I'm not saying these lot are bad mind and stuff, but if someone that's been a hallmark in Arsenal's club for the last couple of years, if he can behave like that, what does that tell? And I'm not saying they will do it, but what does that tell the young players, Nelson, Eddie? What does that tell you people? What does that tell other experienced players that are with Koscielny and whatnot? What does that tell players that have bought into Emre's way of thinking, but then they're seeing that and then they're losing their trust, or players that might not necessarily been convinced on Emre and further pushed away? Because let's be honest, people, you've got to look at things like this. Do I think the team is fully playing for Emre and buys into what he does? Yes, but by the same token, people, he's a new manager. Things happen, innit? Let's take Koscielny. Clearly, Koscielny has wanted to leave for a while and wanted to keep it moving and has thought about this for a hot minute. If he's been thinking about it mid-season, what have other players been saying? You've seen every other reason for Koscielny's age, wanting to move on, to concerns about the direction of the team, to the dialogue between him and Arsenal backroom and whatnot. We'll never know the true reasons, but for me, Emre has to get rid of him because of disrespect. Because if your captain can behave like that, what does that tell the young players? And a big part of this is Emre has to win the dressing room. He has to. Clearly, people, he's got the players play for him and stuff. I'm not saying that, but he's been here a year. It's naive to suggest that everyone buys into him. I believe there's players that have bought into him. I think there's players that are still yet to be convinced. And I feel there was players in that club that just never gave him a chance. This is about you. We all know more important than anything, people, is relations in football. It's arguably, a manager has to be a good manager, of course, but arguably more important than being a good manager is how you deal with conflict resolution and how you deal with the voices, because player power is a great thing. If he hasn't gone on tour, then what can other people do? What kind of slack can people come with, to be honest? And it also gets me thinking, how long has Koscielny thought of leaving? Who possibly shares his thoughts? If it again, this might just be paper talk, but on the basis of the direction of the team, if Koscielny's having them concerns, the club captain. Now we've got to be honest, people. This is a dressing room. This is a place of work. This is like being on a building site or being in the office. People talk. People speak about the managers. People speak about the tactics. Regardless of what you think about Emery, anyone that has concerns about him, he needs to get them out, because right now Koscielny's poison, and it's only going to spread to the rest of the team. Emery, I know Emery's got 2 years or so, technically 2-year clause in his contract, but right now he's got 1 year. He can only afford to have players that want to ride with him, because we know the dynamic of Arsenal, the lack of funds, the fact that Emery's just a head coach, the lack of direction with transfers. At the end of the day, rightly or wrongly, that is all gonna fall at the feet of Emery. That's the nature of the game. We all know that all the dynamics at the club, but it's all going to fall on Emre's feet, and he's going to be the one to get clipped. It's not going to be Raul, it's not going to be Vinal, it's not going to be Edu, it's going to be Emery, regardless. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty at the club. I also think sooner or later the club has to make a decision on Emery's future. How feasible that is, I'm not too sure, because at the end of the day, you need to get top four or vast improvements, or he needs to keep it moving. But for me, I don't feel he can resolve this with Koscielny. I think Koscielny has to be let go, people. The fact that he hasn't gone on tour, again, I get Koscielny. You don't want to go on tour because you want to leave the club. Whether it's your family, finances, or whatever, you want to leave. We'll never know the full dynamics of the story. Maybe the club said you can go and then turn their back on it. We've seen stuff like that. I'll never know the true specifics, but just as a fan looking at my club, Emery needs to get Koscielny gone, because I do think Koscielny is a true professional. If they found a resolution, he would play and whatnot. But then I can't know that to be true, because Koscielny didn't strike me as someone. Again, I don't know, man, because I'm not a coach. I don't know him personally. Koscielny isn't someone that struck me as someone that could not go on tour. When people want to do things or people want to move, it changes people. So like I said, I think Koscielny will handle himself if he didn't leave and we're going into the season with a lot of professionalism. But you can't take that risk. For me, if someone shows you another side to them, you've got to get rid. Koscielny's capable of this. What's to say he won't be a disgruntled figure in the side and carry on with his nonsense midway through the season? Because I do think Emery, a big part of this is Emery needs players that will fight for him. There's players that are clearly not convinced. I mean, there's players that he had bust up with and whatnot. There's also players like, you've seen Aubameyang like the thing on Arsenal Fan TV about Koscielny not behaving like a captain. Aubameyang likes quite a few of them things. If we speculate a bit, people, let's just say Aubameyang doesn't condone a thing Koscielny's done, but Emery doesn't get rid of him and he's still a regular in his team. What is Aubameyang or whoever going to think then? It's like, oh, cool. If he can behave like that and get away with it, why was you doing that to Ozil then? Or you're letting people walk over you. I don't think you're the manager that I believe in. I'm not saying this is going to happen, people, but these sort of things happen in life, and it happens at football clubs. He's a new manager regardless of what you think about Wenger. When some of these players played under Wenger, right? Some of these players have had many managers as well. So with that, they're always going to be judging the manager, whether it's previous principles of a previous manager or what that manager isn't. Do I think Emery? I think Emery is a good manager, but has he fully convinced the fans? Probably not. Has he fully convinced the backroom? Probably not. He's got to a cup final. We missed out on top 4, so there is progress there, and we've improved in big games. But by the same token, you could look at his tactics in big games. Again, we know the players are the underlying factor of letting us down, but you can look at his tactics in big games. You could probably look at the last leg of games in the season and say, as much as the players, the tactics are a bit there. So there's a lot of convincing to do. Emery, like I said, the sword, regardless of what happens, winning or losing next season and getting top 4 or not, the sword is going to be laid firmly at his feet. He is going to be the one to be dispensable. So you need people that are going to ride for your cause, and Koscielny has shown you that he's not on this. So for me, Koscielny should never play for this club again. If I'm Emery, I'm never playing him, because you're capable of that. What are you going to say? And if you want to leave, your attitude could, again, I think Koscielny's a top professional, that attitude could rub off on other players. For me, he needs to go. Like, there's honestly no way around it. Koscielny has to leave this football club, people. It's going to be an interesting one, because who knows what's going to happen, really and truly, people. You've seen that, and I get it, Koscielny. To go back to Koscielny's situation, I get it. The only thing I don't condone is not going on tour, and even that, I don't condone it, but I get it. He wants to make a point and force the issue. But you're the club captain. This club's the club and him owe each other nothing. That's how football works, innit? But most clubs would have really cast you to the side. You've come back and whatnot, and you've just handled it with no class. And to be fair, he owes us nothing. He never told the club to give him this much love in his injury and stand by him. And some other clubs, regardless of his contract, they would have casted him off to the side. He wouldn't have played on a regular basis last season or had that belief. But nobody told Emery to do that. No one told the club to believe in him and whatnot and things like that. So he owes us nothing, really and truly. But for me, Emery needs to win the bodies, man. I do think players are buying into him, but he needs all players to buy into his way of thinking, and you need to set a statement. Players might be thinking, like, he didn't go on tour, but he's in the first game. He's in the starting lineup against Newcastle. I know we need a centre half, but Emery, I thought you're a man of principles. Forget this guy, man. And that's gonna tie into players, because player power is a thing, people. Like, you've seen it. I've seen Chelsea players, again, not to talk about Chelsea, but I've seen Chelsea players 1 week after one manager be poor, not try. New manager, these same players are playing out of their skin. Not just them, it happens all the time. Player power is arguably the most important thing within football now, realistically, people, because football is not ruled with an iron fist. And I'm not saying Emery rules with an iron fist. I actually don't think he does. It's not ruled with an iron fist, but there are elements where you need to get rid of players, and I feel right now, Koscielny, I don't feel Koscielny is a disruptive figure and things like that. But right now, he's poisoned. He's made his bed. He's got a lie in it. He needs to be banished. Again, it's difficult because you look at our centre half options, you look at the dynamics with Arsenal with centre halves, but it's difficult. And people might say if players get injured and people don't come in, people say, why aren't you playing Koscielny? And he's still here. Why aren't you playing Koscielny? Why aren't you doing this and that and the other? But for me, it's all gonna, like, rightly or wrongly, it's gonna all be placed at Emre's feet, and he needs to get rid of players that are not on this. You also saw allegedly Koscielny had concerns over the way he's been used as well. Koscielny was used a bit more frequently than I thought at times last season. But if he's got concerns about that, that shows you he has doubts about whether your management tactics, whether that's how you manage rest and rotation of players, or tactics or training drills. And to be honest, again, away from Koscielny, Emre's only been here a year. We have not got the top four. I'm sure many players find positives, many players find negatives, many players are still to be convinced. That's not me having shots or nothing, people. That's just common sense. I mean, he's come to the club. You've seen many metrics in which we've improved, many metrics in which we've gone worse, many metrics as to where we're still the same. He's only been here a year. Things are not going to change fast and foremost. First and foremost, what I was trying to get onto, we need to improve defensively. I feel big games, I've never been more confident in a couple of years. I know we've been smacked up in big games under Emre, but in the smaller games, in some big games, I don't feel we've been perfect. But in the smaller games, for instance, I feel we're too pragmatic and things like that. So if I think comes a couple of these and I have a couple of points and I feel these things, what are the players feeling? Because on one hand, like I said, we got to the Europa League final and we missed out on top four by a point. There's something to work with there. On the other hand, it might have only been a point, but we could sit here and pinpoint numerous points last season. It's to where we messed up, or really ongoing themes that have been harming this club in the last couple of years. On another hand, in regards to the Europa League, yes, it's fantastic to get to the final from the players and the manager. But on the other hand, no disrespect to the teams in it, is that not business as usual, really and truly, people? Chelsea were expected, it was us or Chelsea were expected to win this, realistically, to get it. We could have won it 2 years ago, but we messed up against Atletico. Ironically, Koscielny was the one making mistakes again and again. I mean, you look at that and you look at United and you look at his injury, people thought you was past it and the club gave you chances. Emre had to be brave to play you, people, really and truly, because people, myself included, I didn't think you could be used and help us. And he kind of put you back through it, but it shows, man. People are only low as long as you're using them and things, and people are users. And again, nobody owes you nothing in this life. But for me, Emre's got to clip Koscielny, man. He's got to clip Koscielny. On that note, though, I'm out. There's really nothing more to say. People, have a good day. I'm out. Stay safe.